Some of you may remember, good God. Some of you may have played with Mr. Potato Head when you were young. I know that I did. We're going to make our own version of that today, except for we're going to do it with a melon. So we're going to make Mr. Melon Head with a bunch of different foods. This is what you're going to wind up with it looking something like this. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And remember that when you get started, you need to arrange the video that you're going to be watching on part of the screen, and then you need to arrange Photoshop by dragging the corners on the other half of the screen. Okay? And remember that you can collapse and reorder different panels that are needed as necessary. Okay? All right, now I'm going to make this bigger so that you can see it. First, actually before I do that, you're going to need to go to Poland, find that icon on your desktop. If you cannot find that icon on your desktop, open any of them and you'll do Go, Connect to Server, and you'll have to choose SMB://data and hit Connect, and that'll allow you to open Poland. Okay? Once you get in Poland, type SF on your computer, and it'll take you to the Spring Forest Middle School folder. Notice that I did not type it up here in the search bar. This search bar up here is useless, pointless, doesn't work, don't use it. Okay. So SFM, Spring Forest, then you have a list of all the teachers, and if you type in SAM, that'll take you to mine. Remember, the drop is where you drop things off. The pickup is where you pick things up. So in here, you're going to find a folder that has a bunch of images in it. That folder is called Mr. Melon Head. Each one of these has been named so you know what it is. Now, the easiest way for us to open all of these in Photoshop is simply to click and drag to draw a marquee, or do Command A to select all, and then you can drag them into your Photoshop window and it will open all of them. You don't actually need to copy any of these into your schools folder because you're only going to use little pieces of them in this file. Okay? So they're all open up here. You see all the different tabs. We're now going to actually start a new file though, because we need to put all these pieces on a blank page. So we're going to start off by naming it, and remember it's your period number. So if you're in first period, put first period. If you're in fourth period, put fourth period. Then you type your last name. Everything you do must always start with period number, underscore, your last name, underscore, and then you have the name of the assignment, which is Mr. Melon Head. Okay? Now, here we have some preset sizes. We're going to choose US paper, which makes it come out size letter 8.5 by 11 inches. We're going to keep the resolution at 300, color mode at RGB 8-bit, and background white, and then we're going to click OK. And now we have a blank page. Now, one of the things that I'd like to show you is that you can go to the window menu and you can choose to 2-up vertical, and we can actually rearrange these. Notice now as I drag these around, I have my blank canvas on one side and I have all of my food items on the other side, making it really easy for me to locate everything. Okay? Well, we're going to start off with our melon. And if you don't see the melon here, you see this double arrow. That's one of the easy ways to find it. Whoops, my mouse just ran away. And you can come down and find melon, and there it is. Now, remember you have your zoom keys on the keyboard. Command plus will allow you to zoom in, and Command minus will allow you to zoom out. So I zoomed in on this to make it a little bit easier for us to see. We're going to start off by using the magnetic lasso tool, which is new. You guys did not use that in the last assignment. And that is right here, docked at the bottom of the lasso tool. It's the magnetic lasso tool. Now, remember we have all of these options or controls up here. I'm going to set this at the original one, which is a new selection. I also, though, want you to look at this right here, where it says feather. If we have this set at 0 pixels, that means it's going to be a hard edge. But if we feather it ever so slightly, it's going to allow for a little bit more air on our part of selecting. Okay, so I'm going to set it at 3 pixels. Now, the nice thing about the magnetic lasso tool is that as you click and you follow along the edge, Photoshop tries to find where the contrast is in the color to one side and to the other, and then it follows it. Now, once you get down here to where the shadow is, you might want to do a little clicking yourself, since it was a change in colors, to make sure that Photoshop follows. So you can click and drag a point and drag a point, and if you accidentally messed up like I just did there because my hand slipped, that's okay. Keep going. Allow Photoshop to go all the way around because we can fix those small errors. And then when you get back to the beginning, you notice that the little tool gets a circle at the bottom right corner. That's saying that we can connect the dots. And now we get the marching ants showing that we have made our selection. Now, it's a pretty good selection that I've created. However, it's not perfect. And we always want to get things really close to perfect. Okay? So we're going to use what is called the quick mask mode. And right down here is where we enter into our quick mask mode. So I'm going to click on it. And what happens is the area that is selected is clear. You can see it. The area that is not selected is red. Now that we're in this quick mask mode, we have to use our paintbrush, and we have to use our default colors of black and white. Now, you probably want to set the hardness of your brush about halfway, so maybe about 50%. And you probably have to adjust your size, and you may even want to zoom in a little bit more so that you can really see the edges here. Now, if black is your foreground color and we paint, notice how those holes now become red. Okay? So what that's doing is it is subtracting from our selection. So I can go around the edges and I can really fine-tune how it looks. Okay, and like I said, it was pretty good to begin with. Right down here, I think I see a couple more that I can go. And just FYI, if you accidentally do that, we can then switch to white and we can paint and take that away. Okay, so if there's areas that are not selected that should be, that's what you can do. Okay, so we exit our quick mask mode the same way we entered it. Click on that button. I'm going to do my Command 0 so that I can zoom out to full size, and there is my melon. Now, remember I talked to you about having some keyboard shortcuts that were essential for all programs, Photoshop especially. And that first one is copy. So I'm going to copy this selection, and I'm going to come over here to my melon head file, and I'm going to paste. So Command C copies, Command V pastes, and there is my melon. First thing I want to do is rename that layer in the Layers panel. And if you don't see your Layers panel, remember you go up to your Window menu and find your layer. And I'm going to rename it Melon. Now, our melon right now is on its side. We have to rotate it so that it's sitting up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Move tool, and I'm going to go up to Edit, and I'm going to choose Free Transform. This is also a good keyboard shortcut to memorize because you use it a lot, and that is Command T for Transform. Now, if we just turn this like this, it moves freeform, okay? But if I hold down the Shift key, notice that it does it in 15-degree increments. Okay, so it's pretty much now straight up and down, although I can move it ever so slightly. And then you double click to apply it. Now, I feel like that's probably the best size or a good size. Maybe move it just below center, and that's going to be the head of our character. I can now close that Millen file, and I don't need to save it, and then I can move on. All right, so the next one that I want to get is my grapefruit. So I'm going to go to the grapefruit wedge, and I'm going to zoom in on that, Command plus, and this piece right here is actually what I'm going to use. And I'm going to use the same method here of my magnetic lasso tool with a 3-pixel feather, because you notice how smooth that makes the edge there. And I'm going to go around this grapefruit wedge, and I want to get just the fruit on the inside. I don't want to get any of this rind or peel. And it's good that it has a few little curves in there, so feel free to follow along and get those curves. And as you finish your selection, obviously we want to go into our quick mask mode, and we want to edit that a little bit. So I see a little bit of rind right here that I want to get rid of. Okay, and I also need to switch it to the other color because I see a little bit of fruit that got selected, or that didn't get selected rather. And there we go. And then I'm going to exit quick mask mode, view my selection again, decide that it's good, and then I'm going to copy and paste it. Okay, so I'm going to copy, then I'm going to go over to my Mr. Millen head, and I'm going to paste. Now, this grapefruit is huge. So the first thing I do want to do is I want to transform it. Remember, Command T or Edit Transform, and I am going to drag from the corner, only I want to hold my Shift key down while I drag so that it resizes and keeps the width and height in proportion. If I just drag it willy-nilly, yes, that's a word, see how it does that? And it's not the right size or shape. Okay? Oops, there we go. So I'm going to transform. I hold Shift while I resize, and now see how nice it's resizing. And I'm going to resize it down, and then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to position it over here a little bit lower than center, and it is going to overlap, and you can resize it a little bit more if needed. And I like that, so I'm going to double click to apply it. Then I am going to duplicate by dragging this layer to my new layer icon. Okay, see now how there's 2 of them? Then I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform, and Flip Horizontal. Then I can move this over, and it's more or less in the exact same spot. Now, one more thing actually 2 more things that I need to do. First, since these are perfectly aligned the way I want, I'm going to select those 2 layers, and I want to merge them together as one. So I'm going to hold the Control key down, and I'm going to select Merge Layers. And now it's one layer that I can rename Grapefruit. And not only am I going to rename it Grapefruit, but I'm going to drag the Millen layer and make it sit above the grapefruit layer so that the ears are kind of behind. Make sure that you save your work as you go, and now is a good time to do that. Command S, and then you can find your Photoshop folder and hit Save. And you can move on to the next video.